Hey there everybody, Sonny Edmondson back here again with another MX Simulator gameplay and commentary, and this one is actually going to be a little recap of last night's race. I'm recording this on Sunday. I just watched the Arlington race about an hour ago. I've been playing some MX Simulator trying to get a lap to put on there, and I just don't like the Arlington track. I can't get it down. I don't know why. My 250F on there just won't do anything that I need it to do. So I'm just probably going to put in a bunch of random gameplay that may be good, may not be. You probably won't see a whole lot of 2013 tracks. I don't know. So I guess I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into this. As most people know, Arlington is basically the Anaheim of the 250 East class, and in my last video, I noted that I have no idea who's racing in the 250 East class. Well, it turns out that three big contenders are Dean Wilson, Marvin Musquin, and Will Hahn. And we actually have 3 or 4 rookies this year in the 250 East class. And to those who remember the rookies in the 250 West class, they actually did a pretty good job. I don't think there was one main that most of them didn't make. And the rookies in the 250 East class are Jeremy Martin, who was 3rd in qualifying, Zach Bell, who was 9th in qualifying, and Justin Hill, who was 11th in qualifying. And one thing that I noted about Justin Hill was that he is 17 years old, and he is the little brother of Josh Hill. And also in the 250 East class, I meant to mention this earlier, but is Blake Wharton. And for those of you who remember last year, he was the first person other than Justin Barcia to win a race on the 250 East class when they did the first staggered start in history at Indy. I was actually at that race. In qualifying, Dean Wilson was the fastest with a 45.1, and then Musquin was right behind him with a 45.8. So going into the heats, we have 250 Heat 1 and Gavin Faith with the whole shot. That's pretty big for him. They noted it many times that he's never gotten a heat race win, but he got the whole shot, so he's off to a good start. Will Hahn on lap 2 contacts Musquin, and Jeff Immig mentioned this. He said, and I quote, that he gave Musquin no opportunity to triple out of the corner, which tells you where they were. The triple out of that corner was so versatile that you just needed to hit it in order to get any speed. Will Hahn comes up to Faith and he contacts him for the lead, but Faith decides to fight back, which has Musquin into the battle and Dakotas enters the battle. Hahn wrecks going down the start straight, trying to slide from the inside to the outside, and he loses his front wheel. Hahn, after the wreck, finishes 5th. Musquin gets a 46.4, and Faith gets the win, and it's his first heat win of his career. So on to 250 Heat 2, we've got one of those rookies, Zach Bell, with the whole shot, and already he's got a great gap right there in the first section. He's got a great gap because behind him there was a giant pileup. People were going into that corner that you have to hit after the whoop section to get into that next rhythm section. And so Kessler, I have honestly never heard of him. I'm not sure if he's a rookie or not. If he is, he obviously wasn't worth mentioning because they didn't when they mentioned Martin, Hill, and Bell. But he cases the triple kind of like what Barcia did at Anaheim 2, and he pulls off the track, and I don't believe he made it back for the LCQ. Wilson moves to 2nd on lap 3, and Dean Wilson at this point is riding with a 45.8. Bell goes down and causes the red flag. What happened here is he went out of a corner with a lot of speed, probably 2nd or 3rd gear instead of 1st, and when he comes up to the triple, his foot slid off the ground, and it looked like he was going to go for a whip because they were very close to the finish. And I mean, he's a rookie. If he's winning a heat in his first race, that's pretty good. But it looked like he was going to go for a whip, and his foot kind of slid off the ground, and it just sent his entire body to the left of him. And he let go of the bike and went flying down, and he didn't move for quite a while. This was one of those immediate red flags, let's restart. So already we've got 2 staggered restarts for this season when we've only got 3 in history. And as I just mentioned, this is a staggered restart. And Josh Hill actually said this about his brother. Aaron Bates was talking to him before the staggered restart, and Josh Hill says he knows what he's doing. He should be faster than me, which tells me that he's got a lot of confidence in his brother. His brother just need to make sure that that confidence is there in himself. And there wasn't really much to talk about after the staggered restart. Dean Wilson moved into first after Bell went down and caused the red flag. And one thing that I will go ahead and mention is Bell did get up on his own power, and he said that he would have walked off, but he's not allowed to. The Asterisk medical crew had to drive him back. So the only thing really worth mentioning after the restart, because it was only a 1 lap restart, was that right at the end of the race there was a big pileup because Blake Wharton was trying to get into that final qualifying position, and there was a big pileup right there on the finish line, and it caused a lot of controversy with the timing and scoring and everything. And at the end of it, it ended up being Scuba Clark getting the final transfer position, so Blake Wharton did end up having to go to the LCQ. So I'm sure you all can tell that I do have notes. Going into the 450s, Ryan Villapoto was 4th in qualifying, and Millsaps was 1st, which shows me that just as I said last week, he is coming off with a lot of momentum from San Diego and that win. So, in the gates from the inside, we've got Weston Pike, Brock Tickle, Josh Hill, Villapoto, Reed, Kennard, Stewart, and Brayton. So already we see that this one's kind of stacked, and that inside line seems to be where everybody wants to be. So in 450 Heat 1, Villapoto pulls the hole shot, and Kennard goes down in the second corner. Stewart is already up there battling for first, and Reed goes past Hill very easily. I don't remember what lap it was. I neglected to write it down. But Stewart goes through the rhythm section after the finish line. Sorry about that. Stewart went through the rhythm section after the finish line on the inside, and Villapoto was on the outside. And Villapoto kind of made it easy for him. He just kind of went to the inside, hugged the berm, and just took over first. And he rode with it. And I wrote this down. This should give you a pretty good idea of how fast Villapoto and Stewart were going. Villapoto was in second, Brayton was in third. Villapoto was 1.6 seconds behind Stewart, and Brayton was 12.6 seconds behind Stewart. So that is a very big gap between first and second, and then third. So Stewart gets his 3rd heat race win. Jeff said it was his second for some reason, or Ralph, I don't remember. But I think they were talking about his 2nd heat win in a row. But he did get his 3rd heat win of the season, and Josh Hill was 2nd across the hole shot, and he just moved back to 8th. He barely even qualified. Stewart was riding with a 43.9 and Villapoto with a 44. And Millsaps is in 450 Heat 2, and he rode with a 45.3. Even though he was the fastest qualifier. So that should tell you how much the track had changed and how deteriorated and everything it was getting, and just so much more difficult. And in 450 Heat 2, it's not really, there's not a whole lot of competition. It's Dungey, Millsaps, and Barcia are the 3 that I went ahead and mentioned. Alessi gets the hole shot, which we all know Alessi's like hole shot king, but Alessi gets the hole shot, and Barcia wasn't too far behind him, but he went down in the second corner. And Nicoletti also had issues. He was in second, and Millsaps was in third. Nicoletti came into one of these corners, and he kind of stopped as if like a rut had gotten him, just kind of made him pause. It was really weird. I didn't know what was really going on, but he kind of made it easy for Millsaps to go back, or to get around him. And Barsha went down in the rhythm section where Stewart made the pass for first in the first heat. He actually cased one of the triples, and he just like basically got huckabuck and ran into Alberts, which is a name that I've never heard. But Barsha had a lot of problems and ended up sending him to the LCQ. And Dungy moves to third not too long after that. And this was one thing that everyone thought was really cool. It was actually cool enough that Aaron felt the need to interview Kyle Partridge after the race for this. Kyle Partridge, he goes into this whoop section, and he does it normally going in, but then about through the last half, sorry, I had to burp. About through the last half, he's battling for fourth, and he just sticks it up on one wheel. He's just riding on the back wheel, and he's basically got the bike almost all the way up. And he just wheelies all the way through the whoops, and he makes it for fourth, and it looked really cool. Nicoletti, one thing that I went ahead and mentioned is that he didn't really seem to be challenging anyone that was trying to pass him. He seemed to just kind of let them by. As long as he was in a qualifying position, he didn't really care. Well, later it kind of came back to bite him in the butt, because Millsaps gets the win, and then in the corner right before that, you got the finish line, and then right before that you got a 90, and then right before that you've got the 180 corner. In that corner, Gerke contacts Nicoletti, and they were both in qualifying positions, so it didn't really make sense, but Gerke contacted Nicoletti and sets him almost all the way over the berm, and he ended up losing his qualifying spot, so he had to go to the LCQ. And as I mentioned before, Millsaps was riding with a 45.3, and he's got no factory support. They like to mention that a lot. And I went ahead and wrote this down. Davey Millsaps was the fastest qualifier. He won his heat race. That's like his fourth for the season. And in his interview with Jeff and Ralph and Ricky, he mentioned that he thinks it's going to take a consistent 20 laps in order to win the main. So I thought that was kind of noteworthy. Just go ahead and write it down. Going on to the LCQs. In the 250 LCQ, something that I was not expecting to see, Zach Bell lined up for the LCQ after that horrific crash, and here's one thing that he mentioned. Only thing that hurt was his right palm. If I go down like that, he basically fell out of the sky. If you go down like that, usually something hurts more than your right palm. So I'm not sure if it really didn't hurt, or if he just had so much adrenaline running at that time that he didn't feel the hurt yet. So going on with the LCQ, Wharton gets the whole shot, which Wharton's not someone that you really expect to see in the LCQ, but he was there. He pulls the whole shot. Bell is in third across the whole shot, and he moves to second on lap 2. And not really anything noteworthy except for the fact that Wharton and Bell moved to the main, and Jeremy Martin, the third fastest qualifier in the 250 class, fails to qualify for the main. And Bell was in tears after the LCQ when Aaron was talking to him, just in tears saying how lucky he was to be alive, much less make it to the main. And it's just really emotional when something like that happens and you still get to go to the main and it's your first race. I understand exactly where he's coming from. In the 450 LCQ, we've got Barsha, and he lines up to the whole shot, I'm retarded. Barsha lines up for the LCQ, obviously, and he's got the whole shot. And Blos almost immediately moved to third. I think he was fourth through the whole shot, but he almost immediately moved to third. There wasn't much that was noteworthy in this except for the fact that Blos flew through the whoops on like lap 3 and went past Nicoletti, but Nicoletti actually fought back for this one, and he lost. So Barsha and Blos moved to the main, and that's really all there was. 450 LCQ, not very interesting, unlike Anaheim 3. So, in the 250 main, we've got a name that I've never heard of, Peters. Got a burp again. We've got a name that I've never heard of, Peters, moving to the hole shot, and Muscan actually went down pretty early. Actually, it was the first corner, so, yeah. Wilson moved to first quick, and Wharton moved to second in the second lap. So we knew that Wharton was wanting that first place position. And I went ahead and mentioned this. Bell was in ninth on the third lap. So even with that wreck in the heat race, after leading the heat race and almost winning, even with that wreck, he's running hard and he's in ninth. And I'm pretty sure he was fighting. Peters and Thompson battle, and Thompson moves to third on lap 7. That battle actually lasted quite a while. And Hahn actually block passed Freezy very aggressively, took him down, and Freezy didn't actually hit the ground, but he was off his bike, and it didn't look so great. Bell down with Thompson, but it wasn't really with Thompson because they were in two different sections. But Bell went down again, and this time he actually lost the visor on his helmet. So I'm not sure if they gave Bell or Thompson points in that race. I mean, I know one of them's supposed to get at least 1 point, but I don't know which one got points. Thompson was actually in the rhythm section that Stewart made the pass for first in, and Barsha ran into Albertson. He did the same thing that Barsha did. He cased the triple in the rhythm, except for when he cased it, his suspension set him up, and he kind of did a front flip. And Tapia did the same thing in his heat race or in qualifying, I'm not sure which, but he landed on basically the cushion of his butt, and he was just fine. But this one, Thompson landed on his back, and there was no cushion. So I'm not even sure if he's going to be racing next week. So I went ahead and mentioned this. Justin Hill on lap 12 is in 5th. Muscan and Faith are battling for 6th. And if anybody watched my last video, I mentioned that Eli Tomac seems to attack the track every single lap. A lot of people on that last lap, they'll do fist pumps over the triple, and they'll just kind of go slow and everything. And so I went ahead and mentioned this. Dean Wilson, with a fist pump over both the triples, takes the win with Wharton in second. And I meant to mention this before I started talking about the 250 main, but it's all the way down at the bottom. Dean Wilson, actually, before the race started running back to the pit area. And I was thinking, what's he doing? He came back and he was like pulling up his riding shorts, not shorts, God, I'm fucking retarded. He was pulling up his pants, and I'm like, did he need a new pair of pants or something? What? Well, after the race, in his interview with Aaron actually asked him if he had to go to the bathroom, and he did. So Dean Wilson had to piss before the race, really bad. So I just went ahead and mentioned the top 6 because that's where Muscan finished, and with a wreck in the first corner, usually if someone can get up it to the top 10 after wrecking in the first corner and having to start last, it's pretty good. So we've got Wilson, Wharton, Hahn, Peters, Hill, and Muscan in that order in the top 6. And Wilson, Wharton, and Hahn were 3 people that everybody was expecting to challenge for the title. Most people were expecting Wilson to take it. Most people are expecting Wilson to take it. And then Muscan is the 4th person that they're expecting to challenge for the title, and he's 10 points down from Wilson right now. So before I go into the 450 main, they mentioned this before the 450 main. Eli Tomac sent in a tweet with a picture of him on his Geico Honda 450, and he will be racing next week in Atlanta for the 450 class. I get that Tomac wants to practice, but I honestly don't think that they should let him do that, because if he makes it to the main, he's taking somebody else's position, he's taking somebody else's points, if they even get points. I understand why he's doing it, and I understand that they're gonna let him do it, but I don't think they should. I mean, I'm just a bystander. My opinion doesn't matter. But going on to the 450 main, the 450 main was eventful. I filled up the entire backside of the sheet with facts about the 450 main. So in the 450 main, we've got Dungey, Stewart, Millsaps, and Villapoto all lined up together to the inside. That ended up changing, though, because Stewart had mechanical errors and DNS. So after a heat race win, he does not start the race. And I wrote down this question: what does an open gate do for Dungey and Millsaps? Because they're right there on the inside and outside of that open gate. What does that do? Who does that favor? I mean, obviously there's a little bit of room for them to maneuver a little bit more than everybody else, so who does that favor? But Millsaps pulls the whole shot, but loses it immediately to Ryan Villapoto and Reed, and Villapoto 1.5 second gap on lap 2. So that shows you that Villapoto is flying. And Barcia is in 8th on lap 3, so after having to go to the LCQ, he gets a better start in the main, and he's in 8th. Villapoto is riding with a 44.3, Millsaps is riding with a 44.8, and Reed with a 44.9, and everybody behind them is riding 45s or lower. Millsaps makes an inside move on Reed to move into 2nd, and they mentioned the average finishes. Millsaps' average finish is a 2.3. That's pretty amazing considering what he used to be and what he is this year. So far, his worst finish is a 4th, which is amazing. 6 podiums and 1 4th place finish. So I see him, he's going to be someone that everyone needs to think about this year. Barcia on lap 7 was in 6th, and Dungey and Reed started battling for 3rd, and Brayton and Barcia, almost on that same lap as Dungey and Reed, started battling for 5th. Dungey makes an inside block pass after the triple to pass Reed for 3rd. And RC mentioned this. He mentioned it with different words. I went ahead and summed it up. You can't play follow the leader. In this sport, in order to pass someone, you can't just wait till the corners. You got to make sure that you have different lines, faster lines. You got to make sure that you're running faster than they are. Otherwise, you're never going to catch up to them. You're never going to pass them, and you're just going to end up in 2nd if you're battling for 1st, or in 10th if you're battling for 9th, you know. I mean, actually not playing the follow the leader could mean the difference between going straight to the main or having to go to the LCQ. So Dungey ends up with the fastest lap, and he's pressuring Millsaps on lap 19. He never gets around him, though, so Ryan Villapoto takes his 3rd win of the season. Millsaps right behind him, and they mentioned this. Ryan Villapoto is tied for 6th in all-time wins with Bob Hanna. So the top 10 for this race was Villapoto, Millsaps, Dungey, Reed, Brayton, Barcia, Kennard, Gerke, Short, and Tickle. So Barcia never got past Brayton. That kind of amazed me. Brayton gets his first top 5 finish of the season, and Millsaps is riding at 154 points. Dungey 21 down from him, and Villapoto is 24 down from him. So if Millsaps does a DNS or a DNF next week and does not get any points, and Villapoto wins, then he's going to be 1 point down from him, and Dungey will probably end up taking the red plate away from him. But I don't see that happening. I don't see Millsaps having to DNS or DNF, but I also didn't see Stewart having to DNS, and he did. So this race was actually a pretty good one. It definitely kept my attention. The heat races were pretty good. The mains were actually pretty good. I don't think that the 250 East packs as much of a punch as the 250 West did, just because it doesn't seem like they've got all the fast riders. They've definitely got the good riders. It just doesn't seem like they've got the fast riders. So my predictions for the 250 East class are that Dean Wilson will end up taking the championship with Muscan somewhere around 10 to 15 points behind him. Uh, I I would like to see Wharton take the championship though, because he did pretty good last year. I think it said he was third in all around points, behind Barsha and Roxon. But I would like to see Wharton take it. I think that he really deserves that championship. But then again, anyone that can go out there and win races kind of deserves to be able to do something. I mean, I think everybody understands what I mean. um, so that's all for this recap. I went ahead and did this just because it seems like not a whole lot of people do that. They just want to upload the videos. And there are people out there that just don't have time to watch the races and watch the main and everything. So I went ahead and made the recap. I tried to write down everything that seemed noteworthy. So to anyone watching this that did watch the race and noticed something that was noteworthy that I didn't mention, go ahead and comment it. I don't care. So if you want to see more of these and you want to see some more MX Simulator gameplay, like and subscribe. I will be making more. I want to be pretty active. And if you've got anything to say to me, just comment it or send me a personal message. I don't care. It could be mean, it could be nice. I don't care. So thank you all for paying attention, and I will see you next time. Remember to like and subscribe for more. See ya. Alright, so somehow the gameplay ran over my voice in this video, so I discovered it about 5 hours after rendering the video and everything. So now I've got one lap left of gameplay, and I'm just recording this voice to tell you guys I want my video to be, or God, I've done that twice now. I want my channel to be pretty big, you know, like somewhere around 3,000 subscribers or so, maybe more. I don't expect a whole lot, but I do want my channel to be noticed by people. I'm going to be doing MX Simulator videos, just personal hot laps, random commentaries, and then I'll be doing MX vs. ATV Live as soon as I get a capture card, maybe Reflex, Untamed, Unleashed. I have that on my computer. All I gotta do is figure out how to take the videos, and then I'll be doing Yu-Gi-Oh stuff and Pokemon stuff and stuff like that. So this is almost over. I just wrecked. That's really sad. I went through that whoop section clean most of that race, but so like and subscribe for more, like I've already said about 6 times, and I will see you guys later.